It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It is showtime. Geno Jones Showtime. Now, for my new viewers, I come to you live Monday through Friday, unless it's a holiday, like Monday was the King holiday, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. All right, so New York City, Detroit City, Miami, which I'm really not messing with anymore. That's a whole different conversation. I'll talk about that. Atlanta. You ready? 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Charlotte, North Carolina, here in the Carolinas. Charleston, South Carolina, 6:30. Chicago, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. New Orleans, where y'all got about 4 or 5 inches of snow. I saw the video on the Weather Channel. I'm like, wait a minute, that looks like video from Chicago, my old neighborhood. No, it was New Orleans, covered with like 4 or 5 inches of snow. Here in Charleston, we're supposed to get like 3 to 5 inches, so we got winter storm. Shout out to Houston, Central Time. You all got about, 3, 4 inches of snow live in Los Angeles. Send your love and your light prayers and everything and support, financial support and whatever you can to those in the Los Angeles area that have lost everything, including you had people that lost their lives, family members that lost loved ones in the, as they call them, the LA area fires. And a couple of those fires are still going on, not as bad as they were. So we pray that pretty soon they'll get rain, which they haven't had in LA in 8 months, going to almost 9 months now, to finally put the fires out. So live in Los Angeles and everybody else on the West Coast, including my daughter, my firstborn, Lauren Shiana Hill Vaughn, and my son-in-law, Jonathan, and Brooklyn the Bulldog. Portland, Seattle, 3:30 p.m. live like we are in Los Angeles. Tell everybody to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, screen grab, rip some of the video, like, binge watch all my back episodes, and leave your comments in the comment section. The Geno Jones Show brought to you by City Vibes Bar and Lounge, the ultimate adult night spot here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro area, 9730 Dorchester Road. Shout out to Corey and Kenya Williams, the owners of City Vibes Bar and Lounge. Great food, great drink, great music. We got DJs Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and an incredible Sunday brunch. Pretty soon they'll be serving lunch during the week. So we'll have Kenya and Corey back on the show to talk about that. And shout out to the Crate Group and the CEO, Mr. Kendrick Bannister. Many of us call him Al, Brother Al. He's the CEO of an incredible organization, nonprofit, the Crate Group, one of the top nonprofits in America, and they have an incredible event kicking off Black History Month. It is called the Gullah Harambe. It's a 3-day event, and the great thing, all this culture and history and art and music and fellowship and family is free. So you can go back and watch, I think last Wednesday, maybe last Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, Mr. Bannister, the CEO of the Crate Group, was my guest, and he talks all about it. All right, let me kick off this monologue, everybody. Let's get it going. Let's not waste any time. All right, so Snoop Dogg, Nelly, Soulja Boy, Rick Ross chose to check over the community. There's so much talk about that, and I know folks are wondering, all right, Geno, we know you got something to say about everything and everybody, as Mr. Nelly would say. So here's the deal, because I've seen a lot of commentary. Charlamagne, radio star, Charlamagne, nationally syndicated radio show. Full disclosure, who I know, look, I'm a fan of what Charlamagne does, his work. Don't mean we agree all the time. I'm just saying. And we don't agree this time. But Charlamagne, look, everybody got to get a check. All right, everybody got to get a check. So, Stephen A. Smith, I get it. Stephen A. Smith and Charlamagne defended Snoop Dogg and Soulja Boy and Nelly and Rick Ross. Was like, well, you should be mad at President Obama and President Biden for going to the inauguration. And then, President Obama was talking with Felon 47 at the funeral for Jimmy Carter. Like, it wasn't like Obama was like starting up the conversation. It's because Felon 47, who's obsessed with President Obama, was just like Chatty Cathy in his ear. But I digress. So let's get back to this whole thing with Snoop Dogg and Soulja Boy and Nelly and Rick Ross performing at this crypto ball inauguration event celebrating the election or re-election of Felon 47. Now, for Snoop, it's a little complicated because back in 2017 on Instagram, Snoop posted a video. And I'm gonna just basically tell you what he said. He was talking about it was actually January of 2007, right before the inauguration. And Snoop was like, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it's almost a direct quote. All right, let me see which one of you jigaboo ass N-words and Uncle Tom ass N-words are gonna go perform for Trump. He said, I'm gonna roast your ass, jigaboo ass N-words, Uncle Tom ass N-words. Snoop's words on video. You can find it on Instagram. It was his Instagram account, but you can do a Google search. Hey, listen, you can search it on YouTube. Snoop's comments about then President Trump back in 2017 of January about those who's going to his inauguration parties, who was going to perform for the first time when Felon 47, before he became a felon officially, and for all of posterity and history. So that video didn't age well, Snoop. Now, Nelly defends himself saying that, well, it's not about politics for me. I'm respecting the office of the president. All right, Nelly, my brother, I'm going to just keep it 1,000. All right, I'm going to keep it a G with you. Your boy, Felon 47, he don't respect the office of the presidency. He never did. He did everything and continuing to basically show his ass and to do everything he can to disrespect the office. So you trying to respect the office of the president, that's great. But you respecting an office that the dude is in the seat, in the presidency, he don't respect the office. But listen, look, like I said, choose to check over the community. You got a right to do that. So now at least to his credit, even though with this crazy ass rant, I don't know, it looked like he was smoking some weed anyway. I don't know what he had, but it seemed like it was powerful. So Soulja Boy was like really amped up. And first he was talking about there's a video rant on social media with Soulja Boy, the rapper, talking about Kamala is Kamala, Soulja Boy. So you were being disrespectful, but knowing you, maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know better. You know, I shouldn't assume too much. Maybe you don't know better. Maybe your reading and comprehension skills, not the best. No shade. I'm just saying. But Soulja Boy's video rant was talking about Kamala ain't never put no money in my effing pockets. Obama ain't never put no money in my effing pockets. They didn't ask me to perform, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually, Soulja Boy finally came clean and said, okay, look, I did it for the check. And he's holding up all 3 stacks of money. I don't know, it looked like it could have been, what? A lot, maybe $100,000. It was 3 big stacks of money, couple $100,000, easy, minimum. He's like flashing and showing it. I mean, look, I need this money, y'all. I don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all can kiss my ass. I need this money. So at least eventually, Soulja Boy was honest, even though he sounded foolish in the rant, but he came clean and said, okay, look, yeah, I need the money, y'all. Y'all can get mad at me if you want to, but the song is a song called Must Be the Music, Must Be the Money. Actually, it was a song. Deion Sanders And Hammer did this joint called back in the day, in the 90s, Must Be the Money. So it was the money as far as Soulja Boy, and probably it was the money for Snoop. Now here's the interesting thing about Snoop. So Snoop was working for NBC, the network, was over in Paris at the Olympics doing his thing. As a matter of fact, I think he got close to $200,000 and maybe a little over $200,000 for 9 days. Look, I'm not counting his money. It went public, that whole story. 9 days worth of work, almost right around $200,000. So you got a check from NBC. Get as many checks as you can. I'm doing the same. But once again, if I got to choose between the community and the culture over a check, especially messing with somebody that absolutely positively has nothing but racial hatred, contempt, animosity, a divisive, vitriolic, imbecilic, who's smart, surrounded himself with business people. When it comes to business, a dude that his businesses have filed for bankruptcy 6 times. So Snoop, NBC, got a big check. Look, I see you doing some stuff with the NFL. You got the endorsement deal with T-Mobile. I have no problem with that. I have endorsement deals with my day job. I ain't got no problem with that. But once again, none of us, Snoop Dogg, Soulja Boy, Nelly, Rick Ross, Stephen A. Smith, Charlamagne, myself, none of us are above accountability. We all can be and should be held accountable by the culture and the community. Full stop. Now Stephen A. says, well, yes, what's wrong with it? I'm paraphrasing. Black folks shouldn't be criticizing Nelly and Snoop Dogg and Soulja Boy and Rick Ross for performing. Why would you, knowing what this man represents, knowing how he feels about black people, saying that black-run and African countries were shithole countries. I don't even have to go all the way back to the 70s when he was sued. Him and his daddy were sued for housing discrimination because they refused to rent apartments in their properties to black people. When a black person came in to fill out an application for an apartment or one of the properties, they would write C on the envelope. This was evidence. And they had to settle this lawsuit that was brought on by the federal government way back in the 70s. Then I could talk about what happened, the Central Park 5, now known as the Exonerated 5, with Felon 47, Mr. Orange Hitler, a.k.a. Donald Trump, back in like 89, the late 80s, spent tens of thousands of dollars on billboards all around New York City, encouraging any potential jury to find these 5 innocent teenagers who were eventually exonerated. He was asking for them, these black teenagers, to get the death penalty. And he still won't apologize for that lie. And starting a billboard campaign trying to get these young men to be executed, given the death penalty. I could just bring it to right today, right now. Basically, sign executive orders to allow grocery stores and companies to re-engage in price gouging. As a matter of fact, he also signed an executive order to where there was a deal that President Biden had to where the government would negotiate deals with the healthcare industry, with the pharmaceutical companies to reduce the prices. Oh, by the way, so if any of you all's maybe mother or father or grandparents, or maybe it could be a sister or brother or a nephew or a niece, or maybe you, if you are on insulin, diabetic, and President Biden got it set up to where it put the cap to where the pharmaceutical companies could only charge you up to $35 a month. Felon 47 is getting rid of that. So when your family members and your friends can't afford insulin every month because it's back up to $600, $700, $800, almost $1,000 a month for insulin, that affects, and it doesn't just affect our culture and our community as Black Americans, it affects everybody, the Hispanic Americans. Oh, by the way, shout out to the Cubans, especially the white Cubans down in Miami-Dade County, that was celebrating last night that Felon 47 got back in office. Now, you know what he did? You know what he did to my Cuban brothers and sisters? You know what Felon 47 did to show you how much he appreciated your support? He basically repealed something called TPS, temporary protective status for Cuban immigrants, along with Venezuelans. So he's like, no, I'm deporting y'all ass too. I just tricked you all. I don't like none of you all. If you're not a wealthy, white, straight, fake remix version of Christianity, Christian white male, he don't give a shit about none of you, including the millions of poor and working class white people who chose their whiteness, which is a made up con game. This whole concept of whiteness and race and color is bullshit. And for centuries, the wealthy elite, i.e. the billionaires of today, have always used bigotry in all of its forms, and hate in all of its forms, and fear and ignorance and misogyny and sexism to pit poor and working class white people or Europeans against Africans and those of other races or ethnicities. Google a Bacon's Rebellion. When you had Africans who were enslaved here in America and the Irish overseers kind of got together and was like, wait a minute, hold on. This plantation dude, this is some bullshit. He's running a con game on both of us. We need to come together and get his ass up out of here. It's called Bacon's Rebellion. That's the fear. That's when Dr. King really got scary to the government in the late 60s. That's when Malcolm X, that's when Fred Hampton Jr. got really scary, especially when you had black people trying to open the eyes of poor and working class white Americans and Hispanic, or back then the term they used, Chicano American and Asian Americans. See, that's the danger. As long as the white Christian male elites can use racism and misogyny and all that to scare you poor and working class MAGA cult members that's watching this show, in the meantime, as you lose your health care and your Social Security and your Medicare and your Medicaid, and when the healthcare industry can jack up the prices of your medicine again and even more, and you can't afford medicine, and you don't have, and if you lose your Social Security, you don't have a safety net. And we'll go back to the days like 100 years ago, before Social Security, where the majority of elderly people in America lived in poverty, abject poverty, because they didn't have a social safety net like Social Security. So your Orange Hitler, Felon 47s, and your Elon Musk and your Mark Zuckerbergs will use their media platforms to continue to brainwash you and to toss you that catnip of racism and misogyny and sexism and fear, and have you worrying about some trans woman now. Executive order, Felon 47. There are only two genders, male and female. That's a distraction. So he can distract you. In the meantime, once again, they can go ahead and shift, as they call it. I'm looking for the term. Basically, it's like we're going to shift the way that the money flows. We're going to allow these billionaires to continue basically to steal money. We're going to give them, and they don't even have to steal it. I'm going to continue to go ahead and have the government pass laws in Congress to give these billionaires and these corporations all the tax breaks so they don't have to pay zero in taxes, but to pass the tax burden on to poor and working class people in rural America and Appalachia. All you poor working class, red and out, black MAGA hat wearing MAGA supporters, that your white orange Jesus is back and now everything is back, and yes, white male patriarchy is back in control, and these white male wealthy patriarchs don't give a shit about you or me, and they think less about poor and working class white people than they do black people. How do I know? Because I've actually had wealthy white men say this to me and say they look down at poor and working class white people because they understand that this system in America, it was rigged for white men. So they look at white men. Why do you think Felon 47, he despises people in the military, called them losers and suckers? Because what's in it for them to get shot up and killed and they don't become rich? Because if it ain't about money, no sense of culture, no sense of community. Fuck a community, excuse my French, mother. The check, dollar bill, y'all. The cream was Wu-Tang song, cash rules everything. All money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. And karma's still real. It'll eventually come back around. All right. Shout out to my number one fan, my executive producer. Hello, mother. And thanks to everybody else who's watching the show live. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you, most of all. God, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Hey, Chicago, everybody, Central Time. Houston, you got snowed in. New Orleans, y'all got about 5 or 6 inches. Houston got about 3 or 4 inches. Central Time, 5:30 p.m. Central Time. 3:30 p.m. live in Los Angeles, and everybody on the West Coast. So tell everybody to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe and share and screen grab, rip some of the video, chop it up, make it go viral, like, binge watch all my back episodes. Please leave your comments. Like, love, can't stand, or whatever. Agree, disagree, whatever you got to say, leave your comments in my comment section. Brought to you by City Vibes Bar and Lounge, the Geno Jones Show, the ultimate adult night spot. 9730 Dorchester Road. Open, like, I think now, 7 nights a week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, live DJ. Sunday, an incredible brunch. Great food, great drinks, great food, great fun. City Vibes. Shout out to Corey and Kenya Williams. All right, they'll be back on the show soon. Shout out to the Crate Group, one of the top nonprofit organizations in America. The CEO, Kendrick Bannister, coming up very soon, the beginning of February. It is a 3-day event celebrating the culture, the community, the art, the music, the food, the fashion, the fellowship, and the family of the Gullah culture, the Gullah Geechee culture. It's called the Gullah Harambe. You don't want to miss it. And the great thing about all that, it's free. So go back and watch last Wednesday, my episode with the CEO of the Crate Group, Kendrick Bannister. We tell you all about it, and they'll be back on the show. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, listen, we getting some really, like, severe snow. We're getting some heavy snow here in the southeast, places where they never see snow. 5, 6, I'm looking at video, 5, 6 inches in New Orleans, like 3-4 inches in Houston. It looks like a scene out of Chicago or Minneapolis. So be careful out there. Be careful icing with the roads. If you don't have to go out, stay in, stay safe, and watch the show. You can binge watch all of my back episodes and spread the word to tell everybody to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you live Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. I may do a little early cameo appearance on some of the other social media platforms, Fanbase, Instagram, TikTok, Problematic. So just keep your eye out. In the meantime, if you missed any of this episode, go back and binge watch this and all my back episodes. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.